All right, let's go ahead and get started. Today I am in front of a whiteboard, and the reason for that is that I have something to teach. I just got done reading this book. It's The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber, and I got my notes here on my phone. I might look at those in a second. But this book is an incredible one. It's definitely a business book, no doubt, but I think it applies to like personal life as well. And that's how I'm going to be explaining it today, because I think it's the most useful way to talk about it. Because if you can apply these two concepts, I have two concepts I want to share with you today. If you can apply these two things into your life, you can definitely apply them into your business, no doubt. So the first one that I wanted to share with you is that there are three types of people, and you need to be all three types of people. So the first type is the visionary. And so the visionary, and Michael Gerber refers to this as the entrepreneur in the book, but I think visionary is a good word for how we're talking about it today. But it's the visionary's job to set where it is that you want to go. It's your life, you're living it. What do you want to accomplish? What would you like to do with your life? This is done at the visionary level. It's where you're setting the vision and really the hopes and the dreams on things you want to have done and setting them at this level. And it's up to the next two people to help us get there. So the next type of person, so that's the visionary. The next type is the manager. And the manager's job is to help create systems and processes and hold people accountable on getting things done. So whatever it is that the visionary has set at the visionary level, it's the manager's job to create the process and the things that we're going to actually do in order to get this done, right, for the visionary. And so you can see here that you'll need to be a manager and be able to do this as well. And then the last one is the technician. And so the technician is the person that does the actual work. And so if you have a job and you do, let's say you're a painter, like my brother Mason, and you're painting the house, although Mason is a business owner as well, and he plays into these two roles as well. He also, when he's on the job and actually doing the painting itself, he's doing the technical work. And so that is the being of a technician, okay? And so you can see here, you need all three, and that's why I say you need to be all three of these people. And just being consciously aware that there are three categories of people and understanding who does what will help you big time in life. Because if you can imagine, if we're just a technician and we don't have a manager to help manage us and make sure that we're doing the right work, we're working, but we don't know if we're doing the right thing, or we don't know if we're doing it the right way, right? So that's where the manager comes in. And if we have a visionary, but we have no manager and no technician, nothing's going to get done, right? And if we have a visionary, but we have a technician, but we don't have a manager, we're going to be all over the place. And to be honest with you, we ain't going to go far without systems and processes and things to follow and stay organized, right? And so you can see here that each one is super important. I don't know if you can even say that one is more important than the other. You really need all of them, right? And that's why you need to become this in your personal life. And so that's kind of the first concept, is just being consciously aware that there are these three types of people that exist, and you need to be all three of them. Maybe some of them you'll be stronger than others. That's totally fine, but you need to be pretty solid and decent at all of them. So that's thing number one. Thing number two is there's a chart. And this chart has been super helpful to me. So I will draw it. And I am going to simplify it. It's on page 175 in the book, by the way, if you have it. But I'm going to simplify it for our conversation. Okay. So at the top, we have the shareholders. And if you know what a shareholder is, it's somebody that owns the business and or is involved with the business, but they don't actually do, any like actual like work. Essentially, they're the visionary at the top. It's their job to play an advisory role to the chief operating officer. We'll talk about them in a second. But it's their job to be setting, this is where we want to go. This is what we want to see have happen. This is what we want to get done. And the shareholders communicating not with any of the sub-departments, but with the chief operating officer. And it's the COO's job to then communicate down and kind of play that middle person, that middle ground. And so the chief operating officer hears what the shareholders want and what they want to accomplish. Now it's his job to be able to actually put in the systems and processes in place and make sure that the sub-departments are doing the actual work and getting everything done and holding everybody accountable to make sure that things down here are matching up with things up here. And so the chief operating officer plays an important role in that part. And so if you think about it, you are the shareholder, right? So you're the shareholder. It's your life. You're living your life. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? And it's your job to set the vision on what it is that you want to accomplish. If you don't know what you want to accomplish in your life, that's totally fine. I think most people are consistently questioning it, or they just might not know yet. And that's fine, but it's being intentional. And, even if you don't know exactly what you want to do with your life, try to set something at the shareholder level. Where do you want to go? What vision do you have right now? That's okay if things change. If things change, if the shareholders want to change the company, they just set up a meeting and say, we're changing the company and we got to do some new stuff, right? And then that gets passed to the top down. But try to set a vision for yourself. Where do you want to go with your life? And then you're also the chief operating officer, because once you kind of have some kind of an idea on where we want to go with our life, at least right now, what are the systems and things that we're going to have to do in order to get that done, right? And so this is where the manager comes into play, right? And that's essentially what the COO is. And it's their job to make sure that they're creating the systems and processes that are going to get the thing done that you actually want to get done. And then underneath, we have three subcategories. And this is kind of going to, for our conversation's sake, this is going to fall into the technician, okay? The book says it slightly differently, but I think that this is good for our conversation today. So we have finance, and that's the one that I want to start with, because if you've ever felt like you don't have control over your life, this is the fastest and easiest one to get control of. It does not mean that you're going to be able to turn around any financial predicament that you might find yourself in, but what it does mean is that when you are on top of your finances, you are checking your bank account every single day, you are organizing your transactions that come into said bank account, and you are keeping track of the categories where you're spending money. You know exactly how much you have coming in, you know exactly how much you have going out, and you know exactly where it's going out to. And so doing this, and if you haven't done it in a long time, I went a long time. I started my first business about 5 years ago. I had none of this done. If I would have read this book, I would be in a totally different place right now. Like, this stuff is incredible. But when it comes to finance, it's simply looking at it and getting organized with it. And it doesn't happen overnight if you haven't done it in a long time. But you can use software like QuickBooks. If you haven't done anything, the one thing you should do today, every single morning before you get started with your day, check your bank account and just look at it. If you're not doing anything, that's the first place to start and the easiest thing to do, and anybody can do that, right? The next thing that you can do to go a step further, where I recommend you get to pretty quickly, is use some software like QuickBooks or EveryDollar or something like that, and categorize your transactions. See exactly where your money's going. See how much you had come in last month. See how much you had come in this month. When you start to organize everything, you'll see that you can kind of filter the data that you have, and you can start to see trends. You can start to say, hey, I'm spending too much money on Uber Eats, right? Or I'm not spending enough money on investing in myself and in my learning, or I'm not investing enough time or enough money into my health, right? That could be one if you're, stuff like that. So that's kind of your financial picture. I really think that this is the easiest one to start with. Operations is going to be everything that you do on a day-to-day basis. Again, we're applying this to like a personal life. And so when it comes to operations, operating is everything from like your diet, your exercise, your exercising routine, your learning that you do, anything that you're like inputting into your mind, like if you're watching TV or movies or something like that, the events that you go to, if any, are you going out with friends? Are you staying in? You know, anything that happens on a day-to-day basis, the actual job that you're performing during the day as well too, falls in line to your operations. And so really important thing here, I'm going to pause on talking about these, and I'm going to just add in a little note. This is why tracking is so important. When it comes down to the finances and we're tracking our finances, that way we can see month over month, year over year, are we getting better or are we staying the same? Are we spending too much money on one category and we're not spending enough on another? This would be impossible without tracking, without seeing the data for ourselves. Operations, time tracking. Where are you spending your time? If you haven't done this ever, I highly recommend it. I use a website called Notion. It's like a little note-taking type app type thing. But I did this first on a piece of paper, and I actually might have one over here. So this is kind of like this one's pre-filled in for what I think like a successful day is. But anyways, if you don't have like a little app, you can just write it down on a piece of paper. What time did you wake up? What did you do when you woke up? How much time did you spend watching Netflix today, right? How much time did you spend out with friends? How much time did you actually spend working? Because a lot of us work a lot, but are we actually working when we're working? You know, and if you have a job, like this could be a little bit variable for you for sure. But for me specifically, you know, yeah, I work a lot, but am I actually working while I'm working? Something very important for me to track and actually see what I'm doing within my day. And so tracking is important. Are you exercising? That can help you, you know, what's your diet? What types of food are you eating? Like calorie tracking, stuff like that. Really important for that, because then you can start to optimize. Is there room for improvement on that portion of your life? Lastly is marketing. Applies to business, applies if you have a job. Marketing and sales is just, for me specifically, it's bringing in deals, bringing in new clients. It's, you know, efforts to, you know, make my brand known to the public, right? If you have a job, if you clock in and you work somewhere, whatever, this also applies to you too, because you might have a project assigned to you at work. And how you can do your own version of marketing and advertising is by doing such an incredible job on that project that you become known in your company, you become famous in your company, you become known and famous in the public for the great work that you've been doing and that you've been contributing. It also comes down to networking and connections. Are you building relationships with people strategically at your work? You never know who is going to be the next person that is going to help you get either a promotion or a new job offer or whatever the case might be. And so having a plan and tracking and strategically doing that as well is going to make a lot of sense. So to wrap things up, appreciate your time today, by the way. We have our shareholders, that's the visionary, that's you, the COO. Its job is to play the middleman between doing the work with the technicians and the vision that the shareholder has. And then we have our sub-departments that we work on a personal daily basis. We have our finance, we're tracking our banking, we're looking at all that stuff on a daily basis. We have our operations. For right now, we're just tracking everything that we're doing on a daily basis to see where we're spending our time. That allows us to optimize over time. And then our marketing and sales is we're either trying to do things to make ourselves known. If we're, you know, a business owner or whatever, we need to bring in deals. Or if we have a job somewhere, we are working really hard to build great connections and build relationships. Thanks guys for watching this. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out, and I'll see you guys next time.